There we go.
Hi, I can see you well. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yeah, I can. So,
Super.
quickly, let's jump in. I was just introducing you. I'll do that again
Lovely.
for everyone watching. Quickly, introduction of 10. We are a physical as well as a digital platform to allow change makers, to allow small businesses and taste makers get a platform to express themselves, talk about their ideas and the stuff they're doing. Civic Studios, like I said earlier, is a media studio and a research hub. The idea is to use the power of content and storytelling to influence change, to talk about civic problems, to offer perspectives. So, Ruhi, if you can jump in, talk to me a little bit about why Civic Studios was started, what kind of work you plan on doing, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. So, Civic Studios actually has its academic home back in the US in MIT. And it started out, that was where this question basically arose around this idea of civic entertainment and whether it's possible to use entertainment as a means to inspire civic engagement. And civic entertainment essentially, as a concept, it's referring to any stories that help bring citizens and public institutions closer. That's a relationship which it's ridden with a lot of lack of comprehension. There's a lot of mistrust. There's a lot of anger as well.
Correct.
Justifiably. So the idea is to see if we can use stories to help demystify what these public institutions really are about, drive certain amount of empathy between citizens and public institutions for each other, maybe even empower public institutions to just reflect on what are their challenges, what's working, what needs to improve, and just share experiences of citizens really trying to access their rights and fix these public institutions, because those stories can inspire a lot of, it can amplify certain ideas which will inspire people to just have an imagination that this is possible.
Right.
So that's really the kind of stories that we're really interested in telling. And going forward, we've done a couple of non-fiction productions so far, and going forward, the idea is to really foray into the fiction space. For the lockdown, in a sense, has been good for our momentum of creative development. So we have a couple of short films, short series. So trying to really play with different formats so that it's content that people really want to watch. And yeah, we have some research pieces as well. The idea is
Right.
to really make sure this content is very research driven. So a couple of research projects which are up. So that's kind of the lay of the land with us at Civic Studios.
Right. Let me dive in a little bit into your content creation process as well. I'd love to know more
Yeah.
about how you go about picking topics, how you go about, finding a storytelling direction as well, appealing to the people that you're trying to reach out to. What are the things that you consider when you create a piece of content?
Yeah, sure. So we're also, very much learning as we go and kind of developing that process. But the things that we know at this stage are that, one, we really want our stories to be research driven. So there is a lot of investment that we put in intellectually, financially, time wise as well, to make sure that we really know the subjects that we want to talk about in and out. And, for example, we've, for the last maybe 8 to 10 months, been working on domestic violence as a theme. And, it's a subject that we've spent a lot of time on field actually researching, speaking to survivors of domestic violence, speaking to institutional workers who work on this particular issue, whether they're lawyers, whether they're activists, to get that very on ground expertise and use that really as our starting point for anything. So with those kind of insights, you're hoping to tell stories that are very grounded, which reflect the reality of the audience that you're going after. And I think that that's another one which we're quite kind of fixated on in terms of figuring out who your audience really is.
Right.
And it's not just a mainstream audience. It's not about just getting the numbers. It's really about who needs to hear this story and what kind of impact it's going to have on whatever change pathway you're trying to make. So with the domestic violence project, it's very much about seeing what are the challenges that women have with accessing justice against domestic violence. So we're very much about trying to figure out what are those solutions that are really working on ground, and then kind of building from the ground up. So those are a couple of aspects that we double down on, to make sure we kind of know who we want to speak to, and we know that we touched base and got the right perspectives, because it's a much longer conversation that we're being part of. So just ensuring that we're kind of taking that as our starting point and then moving forward. So yeah.
Yeah. About your process, let me ask you another question. So, how do you define, creating awareness versus offering solutions versus driving change?
Yeah.
Like, how do you sort of distinguish what you're going to concentrate on? How do you sort of build content to, address each of these pieces?
Yeah. Now, I think that's a great question, because with each issue and with each topic, the starting point is very different, right? In certain topics, it's very much about there not being enough awareness. So that's really where you need to focus all your efforts. So for example, if you take like the farmer crisis, now there has been quite a lot of conversation, and there is quite a lot of awareness that has been built around what really are the challenges and what really are the problems. So for you to come in and add that perspective again might not take the conversation forward. So with that issue, perhaps you need to really focus on what are the sort of legal or institutional steps that can be taken to really affect change on that on ground level. So it's about being true to the particular issue that you're working with, and seeing whether this needs more awareness, or this needs the conversation to move forward to looking at the problem in a different way, or whether it's about finding solutions which are really going to take this to the next level. So yeah, it's a bit about just working backwards from where what you're working on at that point.
Right, and if you actually study the history, back in the day, the use of content, the use of media to reflect social issues was big. People were talking about, you could talk about plays back in the day, or you would have, especially reaching the masses, where you wanted entertainment as a source to drive change, stories with a moral
Yeah.
at the end of it, etc.
Yeah.
As content creation is becoming more and more accessible to people, the quality of content and the quantity of content has both drastically changed. I'm not going to comment on
Yeah.
it for better or for worse. But the point here is, how do you make sure that, how do you drive messages, how do you drive morals to your stories, per se, through the content you're creating? Specifically, let me ask you about the domestic violence campaign that you're running. How do you go about choosing that topic? How do you go about, finding a message at the end? How do you build a story around something like that?
Yeah. So, that video was, it was a response to, the news that we were seeing around the lockdown, and around domestic violence complaints really spiking around the lockdown. And, it's an issue, as I mentioned, that we've spent a good like 8-10 months researching. So we had a very good sense that, you could just feel how trapped the situation could really be, because it's not like violence has necessarily gone down, but the access to support just gets so restricted. So we knew that there were partners that we've engaged with who are first responders. We know that there were best practices that we have found which really need to be amplified in a manner that's very simple to take in and digest. So that was really our starting point, which is why we decided to make a really short video, make it very practical and very solutions oriented. And another thing that we felt was we don't want to just address, the victims who are stuck in these situations. We also want to take the conversation to bystanders, the people who are around these victims, witnessing this abuse, and who have a lot more resources to be able to, help the woman get out of this particular situation. So I think that was kind of the thought or the vision that we had, and we went and we wanted to make a video that's not got that same very defeatist kind of
Right.
look and feel and tone. It's very much sensitive to where these victims are, emotionally, mentally, physically, but also give some sort of foundation of hope, basis
Right.
which they can get some direction of what kind of action they can take. So that was really what kind of pushed us to make this. And we roped in like a bunch of experts who gave us very very sound articulate advice that needed to reach the women. And that was the starting point with which we worked our way up.
I guess my question a little bit was also about, your inception has been at MIT. So impact assessment, when you create content which is very research driven, which is also meant to create a specific type of impact. How do you sort of measure whether it's been a success, what is working?
Right.
How do you create more content based on that? How are you guys figuring out which direction you want to go in going forward?
Yeah, yeah. So, that is something that's a really key question that we're trying to constantly answer with every project, because you have the standard performance metrics with which you know how well a piece of content has done. You know that there are these many views that we've hit, this much engagement, and those metrics, they kind of give you a sense of the overview picture. But ultimately, to know whether this has actually landed with the target audience that you're trying to reach, then it's a little more sort of process driven from a research perspective, where we're looking to see what is the exact metric that we're looking to see shift. Is it an awareness level? Is it that they just need to know more about a certain topic, or is it that we want to change the way someone is thinking about a particular topic, or do we want to change the way they really behave, and the way they act in terms of a particular theme? So those are some of the key categories within which we play around to see what kind of benchmark do we want to set ourselves. Because awareness level change is a lot faster than attitudinal change, is a lot faster than behavioral change.
Right.
So it's about setting the right milestone. So with the domestic violence project, we knew that it was more about just increasing the information being shared about what are the steps that can be taken. So
Right.
then that is the measure with which you are making every creative decision, every impact decision, every distribution call, and working your way from that. So that's a bit about how we kind of think about the impact.
Right. Let me talk to you a little bit about something you mentioned as well in terms of bystanders. Bystanders,
Yeah.
and we're talking about people who are, especially in a country like India with so many people, and obviously there's a big disconnect in terms of what we believe we can do for somebody.
Yeah.
Also there's a feeling of, especially given the situation, a feeling of helplessness,
Yeah.
limitation in terms of what we can do to contribute to not only the greater society but to also uh, how much civic engagement is possible going forward. Even with you guys, as you can see, you're probably creating all of your content stuck in an office without actually being access to going to the field, talking to real people, getting real stories, etc.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how do you drive optimism? How do you drive that attitude where every voice makes a difference amongst the people in all the
Yeah.
content you're creating?
Yeah, so you know, I think one thing to call out is that anyone's ability to actually take any sort of action or like raise their voice, it really depends on your own social, cultural, political capital that you come with, the access to resources you have in terms of time or finances. So I think that's like the first disclaimer that one should kind of call out. But ultimately, I think with our content as well, it's about making people aware of the fact that they do have a lot of power to actually create change, and
Right.
there is a certain belief that you can change a particular outcome, and that comes from basically a certain understanding, firstly, of just, I think one thing that we hope to do with our content is just give people an imagination that this is possible.
Right.
So when you see someone with a very similar kind of profile of yourself, and someone with very similar access to resources, who manages to change the situation in a manner that which uses the resources in an uncommon way, which gives them the strength to really make that change happen, then that becomes a behavior pattern which you hope can be amplified and replicated.
Right.
And it needs to be replicated in a way that kind of fits into your context and your reality. But once you kind of give people that imagination of what that change could look like, there's a feeling that it kind of resets what that power balance looks like, and how we kind of just feel like there's no point in really taking on certain battles, whether it's fixing a street light or getting your electricity bill in place. You feel a little powerless. So with that imagination, we hope that it kind of resets that power imbalance a bit,
Right. Right.
and yeah, just makes you feel like it is possible, like this can play out in a different way. So that's, I guess, one kind of change that we hope to make with the stories that we tell, and that's what we keep pushing ourselves to kind of integrate into our content as well. So,
Let me ask you
yeah.
a little bit about the overall role of content. And this is a more general question. With the advent of content being so easily accessible to people, and obviously now the highlight. I mean, I have to ask you this question about fake news and so much content that's coming, which is not well researched. Uh,
Yeah.
how important do you think your role as a studio is to sort of keep that keep fact and fiction front and center when you sort of design content for something like this?
Yeah, I think that's really a key objective for us at Civic Studios, by keeping research as much at the core of our writing process. The idea is to put out stories that really reflect that on ground reality. And with fake news, I mean, the thing is, we're also not, we're not only kind of trading in non-fiction content that's very much about reproducing just what is the reality. With fiction, you are going to be taking liberties, you are going to be kind of t- taking certain narratives and seeing how to kind of amplify the engagement value of those stories as well.
Right.
But in taking that liberty, it's ultimately about whose truth are you kind of reinforcing and validating, and what is the larger kind of political conversation that you are part of when you're putting out that creative slant on a particular topic. And I think having a perspective on that and understanding which, and that perspective also comes, I mean, it comes with a general awareness. It again comes with the research and just immersing yourself in the truths of that particular framework.
Right.
And just, yeah, just making sure that you're very sensitive to how that particular truth fits into a larger conversation. So that's the kind of effort that we're trying to make with our stories. So
Right. What about involving all the stakeholders involved? So, for example, when you're tackling issues such as domestic violence, is also the stakeholders may include everyone from the police to your neighbors to even the government. So, how are you able to sort of get their perspective in something like this? How do you plan on engaging these stakeholders going forward?
yeah, so that's really really core to how we've gone about approaching this particular issue, because or with any issue, there are multiple stakeholders that actually play a role, and if you only work on one sort of work with kind of a blinkered vision, the kind of change that you end up creating is quite insular. So with the domestic violence project, for example, we knew that it's a multi-stakeholder issue. You have the lawyers, you have the police, you have the non-profits, and you have medical professionals as well, and they all have a role to play in this entire ecosystem. And to you one is to have a sense of what that complete picture is. Two is also ultimately to understand that these are important perspectives to be integrated because they give a complete picture. But as a production house, we also need to understand what is our kind of focus area and what is our expertise. If we are the storytellers, there are a lot of really important organizations out there who are engaging with each of these stakeholders and giving each stakeholder the kind of intervention they need. So as storytellers, to understand that there is a certain point where our role kind of stops, and then it is good to kind of pass on that baton to make it a more sustainable change pathway, while also ensuring that it's not just like we do intend to not just create content and put it out there, right? Like the idea is to create a surround sound, create the campaign where the right kinds of spaces are being accessed to make sure that it's being seen by the right kind of people and seen enough number of times. Like with a campaign, there's a certain amount of frequency. So definitely put in the planning to design a strategy that covers these bases, but also being very guarded in how much we're taking on, and understanding that our role is, on telling stories,
Right.
and what is that going to add in that entire sort of change pathway. So yeah, a couple of thoughts that with which we approach this.
Right. Finally, I'd like to talk to you about again storytelling as a perspective and offering perspectives because recently you guys had a webinar that you moderated about custodial violence in Bollywood, which is very interesting and obviously taking the webinar route, especially given today's again content creation. You guys are not only sticking to creating your usual content. You're also going the webinar route, etc. Can you talk to me about one? How you're looking about approaching good quality, creating good quality content, and second, a little bit about the topic you chose as well.
Yeah, so with the kind of content we're looking to create now, I think our hands are as tied as all the other creators that are out there, and it's about we luckily are also not getting into any on-shoot, on-site production till some time. So fingers crossed that things actually open up a bit. But the idea is definitely to work with formats that are conducive to just getting cracked on the laptop, and working with more engaging animation, working with more engaging edits to really get to make that technical kind of skill really work harder for you.
Right.
And yeah, I mean that we're also very much learning as we go along, and getting the right kind of team in place is the first step. So
Right.
that's why we're really focusing, because you need to have the right kind of brains on it to make it work, because these are challenging times for all creators.
Right.
So Yeah, that's some of how we're thinking about content creation. And with the webinar, it was something that one of our partners, Project 39E, had organized, and it felt like a very timely reflection, just given the the Jairaj and Benix murder case and the critical conversation that was happening and building about Bollywood and the role that it plays in normalizing the way we react to such cases of police violence. And
Right.
I mean, it's just building up steam to really understand how films can lead to some sort of a change in the way we perceive the world. You would have may or may not have come across this one research paper we did last year called Crime and Punishment in Indian Entertainment, where we were talking about one of the stats that came out was that viewers who have watched Simba were more likely to support fake encounters in real life than
Right.
non-viewers. So that's the kind of real to real connection that webinar was really looking to unpack and to just raise questions so that we make way for representations that are a little more multidimensional, which make you question these structures of inequality and abuse of power in our public institutions. So yeah, that's a bit of what we were trying to achieve with that conversation.
And I think it's fantastic because a smaller studio like yours, which is more lean, more agile, can address current issues quicker and through quality content like this, and be platform agnostic at the same time because you don't need a large production crew. You did something that was small but still impactful,
Yeah.
which I think is super super needed during this time. And I think I'll also share the links to your research papers and some of the content you've created on our bio. If you
Yeah.
could quickly end by telling us a little bit about how people watching can contribute to Civic Studios, about how you guys are, what is your way forward, etc. People can actually participate, have a key takeaway from this conversation.
Yeah, sure. So we have, I mean, we have a couple of projects that are coming up but which are very much still in development. But we try to keep the conversation going actively on, just the civic and social issues that are happening in the day to day. So, follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. You can keep in touch with just the kind of questions we're trying to ask, the questions that are interesting us about our public institutions. And as and when we have work coming out, it'll be super to have that support. Every view, every like, every share counts. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and just kind of keep the conversation going, I guess, and just ask these questions of your public institutions, of your local government, and yeah, stay engaged in this democracy that we call home.
Thank you so much, Rudy. Again, it was fantastic talking to you, and good luck for the future.
Thank you, Mang.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.